Hello everybody, my name is Raxef, and the topic of today's video is a vendor located in the Antoran Wastes on Argus named Orix the All-Seer. Now, for those who don't know, Orix is a vendor who will sell you a couple of different items for a currency called Intact Demon Eyes. In this video, I intend to explain exactly how you go about getting this currency, what exactly the items you can purchase with it are, and the best location that I've found so far for farming these demon eyes. So, let's just get into it. First of all, before you can start collecting intact demon eyes, you're going to need to pick up a buff from Orix called Agent of the All-Seer. Orix is located on the map behind me at coordinates 59.545. He's a bit southeast of the Spirit Crucible. Once you go inside his cave, you're going to notice that there's a usable shrine to your left. Once you click on that shrine, you lose 90% of your health. So make sure that when you click on this shrine, you are at very close to max health, or you will die and not receive the buff. Once you've received the buff, you're going to be transformed into this Eridar, and you'll notice if you go to any of the teleportation beacons that you're actually unfriendly to any NPCs related to the Army of the Light. So while you have this buff, you will not be able to leave the Antoran Wastes unless you either die or you hearth out. And once you hearth out of the Antoran Wastes, you also lose the buff. So the only place as of now to collect intact demon eyes is in the Antoran Wastes. Another thing to note is that if you go through an invasion portal, you will also lose the buff. So if you're in the middle of the farming and you see a portal pop up and you want to take it, just make sure you know that you will be losing the buff should you decide to go through that invasion portal. Now, once you've received the Agent of the All-Seer buff, you're going to have 60 minutes to start collecting intact demon eyes around the Antoran Wastes. Now, where I've been having the most success is in an area northeast of the Spirit Crucible. I'm going to be showing it on the map behind me at the coordinates 54.7, 24.1. I've noticed that the ads here respawn fairly quickly, allowing me to really just go through a bunch of mobs in a short amount of time. I found that I was able to collect about 100 intact eyes in a little under an hour. Some people might get a bit more, some people might get a bit less. Your mileage may vary. In terms of the drop rate of the eyes, I found that I will go several mobs without getting any eyes, and then I will kill a mob and receive anywhere from 3 to 5 eyes. So the drop rate can seem a little bit low, but it does make up for it since you receive a decent amount of eyes every time the eyes drop. So once you've collected some demon eyes, I'm sure you're wondering what exactly you can purchase with them. Well, first of all, for 25 eyes, you can purchase an item called the AllSeers Draught. Now, this is a stack of 5 consumable items, which is basically the same as the shrine. So if you're planning on farming around a couple different areas and you don't want to have to return to the shrine every time your buff wears off, or if you happen to die somewhere far away from the shrine and once again you don't want to return to it, you can simply consume one of these draughts and it will give you the buff. Keep in mind that since it does act as the shrine, it will take 90% of your health off, so you need to be at or near full health in order to not be killed by this item. But it is very useful, and it is one of the first items that I picked up so I could have an extended farming session without really needing to return to the shrine. Next up, for 50 intact demon eyes, you can purchase a stack of 20 Squished demon eyes. Now, this is a thrown consumable item, and simply when you throw this item at a target player, it makes a squishing sound and turns them a dark shade of green. It's a bit fun a couple of times, but other than that, it's not really special. It's not a toy. It is something you use up. So for this particular item, I would recommend passing on it and instead saving your intact demon eyes for a couple of the more expensive items. For 200 intact demon eyes, you can purchase the Gift of the All-Seer. Now, this is the same as the Draught of the All-Seer, however, it does not get consumed upon use. So this would be the next item I would recommend picking up if you're planning on farming the intact demon eyes for any extended period of time. It's great because it only has a 1-minute cooldown, so if you happen to die, chances are you can bring the buff back up right away, and of course it's not consumed upon use. So once you've picked up your draughts and started using them to farm more and more demon eyes, then I would recommend moving on to the Gift of the All-Seer, so that way you really don't need to go back to Orix unless it is to purchase some items. For 500 Demon Eyes, you can pick up an item called the Observer's Locus Resonator, and what this item will do is set up a portal that both you and party members can go through that will take you to a rare called Orix the All-Seer. Now, this is like a normal Argus rare. It has a chance to drop the normal Argus rare drop items, some Veiled Argonite, as well as a couple of armor tokens, but it also has a chance to drop a specific item called the Sightless Eye. And what this does is it makes you harder to detect by enemies for 10 minutes. And this is really great for people who want to go around Argus without really worrying about aggroing nearby enemies. If you want to do mount farms, or if you just want to be hunting after treasure chests, this item is going to be really great, particularly since the duration of this item is longer than the cooldown. So you're just going to be able to use this item over and over again and pretty much ignore any any enemies rather that you don't want to face on Argus. For a whopping 1,000 Demon Eyes, you can pick up a toy called the AllSeer's Eye, and this toy acts as sort of a priest's mind vision. If you target a player and you use this toy, you basically get to see the world through their perspective. It doesn't have any use beyond that. You can send the player that you're targeting some cool voice lines as you use it on them, which I thought was a really interesting touch, but it's more of just like a fun toy item that you can farm for, maybe have a bit of fun during raids or in dungeons. Similar to the consumable before. It is a pretty unique item. You know, it is a non-priest version of Mind Vision, which was a pretty cool effect, so that's certainly on my list to pick up. And lastly, again for 1,000 intact Demon Eyes, you can pick up a minion called the Crossgazer. Now, I'm not super well versed in pet battles, so I can't really attest to how good or bad this pet might be. From a first glance, it doesn't really appear to be all that unique. If you like this style of minion, then sure, go ahead and pick it up. Or maybe if you're a pet completionist, then of course you're going to want to collect this pet. But beyond that, I personally am not really going to be spending my Demon Eyes on this pet. I'm really looking forward to putting all my eyes towards the AllSeer's Eye so I can get that really cool toy. That's going to do it for the guide portion of this video. I did want to take a couple of moments and talk about Orix the All-Seer and the intact Demon Eye system as a whole. I think it's very, very similar to the system that we had in Mists of Pandaria on the Timeless Isle, where you could use an item and become hostile to players and get a bit more PvP in there while collecting some items. The interesting thing with this is that it's non-PvP, it's strictly PvE. So it's an interesting take on it. It's not as interesting as the system that they had in Mists of Pandaria. I think the rewards for Mists of Pandaria were a little bit better, and of course, to me, it's a little bit more exciting, you know, being able to turn yourself hostile towards enemy players, both Horde and Alliance, and it's really you versus them. You try to defeat them and collect items off of them, which you can then use to purchase other items. Here in Argus, it's a nice touch, and it's cool that it gives you an incentive for fighting a ton of demons, which you're going to be doing anyways. However, with the rewards, while some of them are cool, overall I don't think they're quite worth several hours of farming that you can expect to put in for, if you wanted the AllSeer's Eye. You're getting around 100 eyes per hour. Then you factor it's going to be about 10 hours of just straight farming demons if you're going to want to collect 1,000 eyes. Like I said, the toys are cool, and it's an interesting take that they're making you do PvE, but I do wish that if it turned you into this agent of the All-Seer, you appear as an Eridar, and it's making you hostile towards the army of the light, I think it would have been cool to just enable the PvP aspect as well, so that you could be killing demons as well as fellow players in order to collect a couple of extra bits of currency in order to not only speed up the farming a bit, but also make the farming a bit more interesting. And that's going to do it for this video. If you liked it, then of course give it a thumbs up. If you have anything to say, you want to let us know about a farming spot that you found particularly effective, then of course leave a comment in the section down below. And if you like my channel, you want to keep up to date with the videos that I'm creating, then of course feel free to subscribe. With that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. See you later!